This passage from Ezekiel 11 to 5 to 12 is a divine unmasking. Let's take a look under them and break this into layers, like we're unrolling Ezekiel's vision for the first time. Verse by verse decode. The Spirit fell, and the sword followed. God says, "So you think? I know your thoughts." First punch. God's not just reacting to their actions, He's reading their internal dialogue. He sees and hears not just the wickedness, but the justifications behind it, their private reasoning for puffed-up pride, and all the secret council meetings in smoky back rooms, as if hiding from God was possible. This moment reveals the depth of their lack of faith. If they truly believed in the God they were meant to serve, they would not be engaging in these actions. God begins transmission of the source code. "You have multiplied your slain, filling the streets with them." The statement accuses individuals of not being victims, but rather perpetrators, who should be advocating for others, but instead seek protection from their own wrongdoing, expecting their names and positions to cover their wrongdoings. This is not just war, it's systemic cleansing, likely of prophets who spoke truth. Innocents, dissidents. The poor, trampled by policies masked as protection. God declares, "Your slain are the flesh." "This city is the pot," they said. "We are the meat and the pot safe." God replies, "No, the slain are the meat. This pot is a cauldron of death. You think you're fine because you're alive, but you're sitting in the simmer of judgment." The metaphor becomes their tomb. They're stewing in their own rebellion and behaving like it's a hot tub. "I will bring you out of it," the Lord states, removing His remnant and replacing them. This is mercy, albeit violent mercy. His rod and His staff comfort us. They saw the city as a sanctuary. God sees it as a trap, a lie they're living in. So He says, "I'm going to drag you out and expose what's really going on." This is unveiling by force. "You have feared a sword. I will bring a sword. What you fear, you summon, so fear God alone. What you run from arrives at your door, so sit at Yahweh's feet." God isn't punishing them for fear. He's judging them for the actions they took because of that fear. They formed alliances with pagan nations and killed truth speakers for fear of accountability. They built walls of ritual without presence and turned them into dens of thieves. They tried to protect themselves through compromise and trampling over the poor and needy. Now the thing they feared most arrives. "I will judge you at the border of Israel." This is surgical. The phrase "border of Israel" implies just far enough to be out of the covenant covering, a place of maximum exposure, where all can see their judgment, public and prophetic. Some scholars believe this refers to Riblah, where King Zedekiah's sons were slaughtered and his eyes gouged out by Nebuchadnezzar. "This is a national trauma site," God says. "That's where I'm taking you to unmask your rule. You have not walked in my statutes." They didn't just fail to obey, they replaced God's way with the laws of other nations. They copied pagan systems, likely for military strength, trade gain, political alliances, self-comfort. But in doing so, they betrayed the code of heaven and welcomed the beast system of Satan and Sheol. Turning humans into cattle, they lost their uniqueness. They lost the pattern of change and lost Him. Modern parallel. We still build false pots, platforms we think protect us, titles that feel sacred but are hollow, structures built on the backs of others, churches that copy culture instead of reflecting the kingdom. But God still says, "I know your thoughts. This pot is boiling. I will bring you out." Who will turn from their sins and turn to me? Abba is asking, "What say you?"